Hey there, Morgan here from Crafting a Lovely Life, and today I'm going to show you how to make this super fun graduation cake topper using your Cricut and cardstock. I'm also going to show you how to make your own custom cake toppers in Design Space for any occasion. This project is perfect for beginners, so if you have never made a cake topper with your Cricut before, then this is a great tutorial to start with. I can't wait to show you how, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is walk you through the entire process of creating a cake topper, and then I will show you how to turn any SVG into a cake topper using the offset tool in Cricut Design Space. I have 4 designs that I'm using for this tutorial today, and you can grab all of those designs on my website for free, which I will link in the description below. So first we will open up a new project in Cricut Design Space and upload the Kindergrad design. You can then resize the design depending on what size cake you are making. Then select the design and click Ungroup. Now we will select all of the design layers except for the graduation cap and click Attach. This will keep these design elements together when they are cut. Then we will do the same thing for the graduation cap layers. Now we are ready to add the offset layers. So click and drag to select the entire design and select the offset button. This will create a new layer behind the design. You can make this layer as big or small as you want, but I usually don't go too far off of the default setting in Design Space. For this project, I'm going to go a little bit smaller than the default. You also have the option to make the edges rounded or squared. In most cases, I like to use the rounded option, but I will show you later an example of when you might want to use the squared edges. Once you have the size you want for the offset layer, you can click Apply. This is going to be the middle layer of your design. So I'm going to select that layer and change the color so you can see it a bit better. You can change the color to whatever works best for the occasion you are making the cake topper for. Now I'm going to click and drag to select the entire design and click the offset tool again. I'm going to use the same size that I used for the middle offset layer, but you can adjust this however you want. Then click Apply. I'm going to select the back offset layer we just created and change the color. Now I'm going to turn off all of the layers except for the back layer we just made. The offset layer can sometimes have a bunch of empty spaces in the middle of it. If you don't want them in your design, you can use the contour tool to get rid of them. I forgot to do this when I made this cake topper, but I will go ahead and show you how to do it really quick. So select the offset layer you want to change and click Contour. Then you can select all of the pieces you don't want on this layer. It's sometimes faster to just click Hide All Contours and then add back the few that you do want to keep. Once you have removed the areas you want, you just close out of the contour screen and you can see all of those empty spaces are now gone. Now I'm going to turn on all of the design layers. You can add as many offset layers as you want to create more dimension, but I typically just add 2 offset layers to my cake toppers. Once you have the layers how you want them, you can click Make It. I'm going to cut both of the bottom 2 layers on the same mat to save a bit of time. To do that, I will click the 3 dots and select Move Object, then pick the mat to move it to. Make sure you move the design on the mat so that none of the cuts overlap. I'm using a glitter cardstock for the top layer of the design, so that will need to be cut on its own mat since the material type setting will be different. For the bottom 2 layers of this design, I'm going to use 65-pound cardstock, so I'm going to select light cardstock for my material type. Now I'm going to place the cardstock on my light grip mat and use a brayer tool to make sure the material is stuck down really well. Then we can load the mat and start cutting. When the Cricut is done cutting, you can unload the mat. Then flip the mat over and gently peel the mat back from the paper so you don't curl the paper. For the top layer of this design, I'm going to use a glitter cardstock. So back in Design Space, you will want to change your material type to glitter cardstock. Normally, you want to use the standard grip mat for glitter cardstock, but my light grip mat is brand new and super sticky, and my standard grip mat is older and not as sticky. So for this project, I went ahead and used the light grip mat for the glitter cardstock. Place the glitter cardstock on the mat and use the brayer tool to get it stuck down well. Then load the mat and start cutting. Unload the mat and remove the paper from it. Be super careful when you remove the cardstock so you don't tear any of the thinner letters. Then you can use your fingers to carefully remove any of the excess cardstock pieces. Next, we will cut the graduation cap. I recommend using the light cardstock for the graduation cap since the tassel is a super tiny cut. I originally planned for the graduation cap to be black glitter cardstock, but the Cricut has a hard time cutting glitter cardstock that small. Now that we have all of the layers cut, we are ready to start assembling the cake topper. To secure the bottom 2 layers, I'm going to use these double-sided adhesive foam squares. This will give the cake topper more of a 3D look, which makes it look super professional. You could also just glue all of the layers on if you prefer. Once all of the foam squares are placed on the middle layer, you can line it up and adhere it to the bottom layer. Since the top layer of this design is too thin for the foam squares, I'm going to glue it onto the middle layer using precision craft glue. I will link all of the materials I'm using for this project in the description below if you want to know the exact products I'm using. Again, be really careful with the tassel part of the grad cap since it is so tiny. The last step is to glue on the lollipop stick that will go into the cake with some hot glue. And that's it! Wasn't that so easy? I think this cake topper turned out so cute and looks super professional. I'm sure my daughter's going to love it for her graduation party. Now that you have seen the process all the way through, I want to show you really quickly how I would use the same process to create a cake topper for any SVG design that I have. I have 3 other designs that I will show you how to turn into cake toppers using the offset tool. So back in Design Space, we will open a new project. Then I will upload the Happy Birthday SVG. Next, I will select the design and click the offset button. I'm going to keep the edges rounded for this design as well. Once you have the size you want for the offset layer, you can click apply. This is going to be the middle layer of your design. So I'm going to select that layer and change the color. Again, you can change the color to whatever works best for the occasion you are making the cake topper for. Now I'm going to click and drag to select both layers on the design and click the offset tool again. I'm going to use the same size that I used for the middle offset layer, but you can adjust this to whatever size you like. Now I'm going to select the back offset layer we just created and change the color again. Before you click Make It, be sure to use the contour tool to remove any empty spaces that you don't want. Next, you can click Make It and see that you have 3 layers. Typically, when I'm making these cake toppers, I will assemble them exactly how I showed you with the Kindergrad cake topper earlier in the tutorial. I will add foam squares to the middle layer and stick it down to the bottom layer. Then use a glitter cardstock for the top layer and adhere it to the middle layer with the precision craft glue. The last step is then to glue on the lollipop stick with hot glue. I'm going to show you this process again for the Happily Ever After design really quick, and then show you one more design done a little differently after that. So upload the design, resize it if needed, then select the entire design and click the offset button. then click Apply. Change the color of the offset layer as needed, then select the entire design, including the first offset layer, and click the Offset button again. Adjust the settings as needed and click Apply. I'm going to remove some of the empty space on the back layer using the Contour tool. I'm going to remove all of the spaces except the one between the words happily and ever. I think having some see-through spots on the cake toppers adds a bit more of a professional look. Again, I would then assemble this cake topper exactly how I showed you earlier. For this last design, I want to get a little fancy with it and show you how to incorporate shapes with the offset tool to make the cake topper stand out even more. So I'm going to create a new project and upload the Congrats Grad design. I could do the exact same thing with this design that I did with all of the others by adding 2 offset layers. But you can also make cake toppers a little more exciting by incorporating shapes. So I'm going to create a circle and then resize it so that my design fits inside of it with some space around the edges. If the circle is in front of your design, you can click the Arrange button and select Send to Back. Now I'm going to create another circle and make it a bit smaller than that first circle. Next, I'm going to turn off the Congrats Grad layer so that I can just work with the circles for a minute. To get the circles lined up evenly with each other, I'm going to click and drag to select both circles. Then select Align and then Center horizontally. I'm going to select Align again and click Center vertically. Now they are lined up evenly with each other. Next, I'm going to use the Slice tool to cut the smaller circle out of the larger circle. So with both circles selected, I will click the Slice option. Now, if I move over the smaller circles, you can see that the larger circle has the middle cut out of it. This is exactly what we want, so now I'm going to delete the 2 inner circles and turn my Congrats Grad layer back on. Then I will move the circle so that Congrats Grad is more centered. Next, I'm going to turn off the circle layer while I work with the Congrats Grad layer for a minute. So I will select the design and click Offset. I'm going with the default offset size for this design, and then I will click Apply. I'm going to change the color to white for now so you can see it a bit better. Then I will turn the circle layer back on again and change the color to white as well. Now I'm going to select both the white layers and click the Weld option. This will combine the 2 layers into one solid design element. That will also move the Congrats Grad layer to the back, so I will just click Arrange and Send to Back again. I'm going to add a bit more to this design to fill it out, so I am going to click Shapes again and add some stars to the bottom of the circle. I'm also going to change the colors to my high school colors to give you more of a visual of how this might look with school colors. The stars are looking a little two-dimensional, so I'm going to add an offset layer to all of the stars. For these offset layers, I'm going to select the squared edges instead of the round and make the size a bit smaller than the default. I'm also going to change the color of the offset layer to blue. Once all of the offset layers have been added to the stars, I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select all of the blue stars and the blue circle layer. Then I'm going to use Weld again to combine all of those layers into one solid design element. I'm also going to attach all of the green layers really quick so that they're a little easier to work with. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key again, and this time I'm going to select all of the green layers. Then I will click Attach. So at this point, we have 2 layers for this cake topper. You could make it how it is, but it may be a little flimsy with just the 2 layers. So I actually recommend adding another offset layer to the entire design. This will also allow you to use foam squares on the bottom 2 layers to give it a bit more dimension. So I'm going to select the entire design and click Offset. Then I will adjust the size and change the edges to squared so they look a little better around the stars. I'm also going to change the color to white so so the main part of the design still stands out. This back layer also connects that bottom star and the congrats grad, so you could glue the lollipop stick higher up, which will provide more support for the cake topper. If I were going to assemble this cake topper, I would probably choose to make the white layer with glitter cardstock so that it really stands out. Then I would make the middle layer with the light cardstock, and I would use the foam squares to adhere it to the glitter cardstock. Then I would use the precision craft glue to glue on the congrats grad piece. I would probably also use the foam squares on the graduation cap and the stars to even give those some dimension as well. I think this would make a really cool cake topper for a graduation cake. And that's it for these 3 other designs. I love how easy it is to make cake toppers using the offset tool. You can whip these up so quickly and for any occasion. Just upload your design to Design Space, add a couple of offset layers, cut, glue, and you are done. Or you can add some shapes to your offset layers to make the cake topper even more grand. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and feel more confident about making cake toppers with your Cricut. Don't forget to grab the designs I used today on my website listed in the description below. Be sure to subscribe so you can follow along each week as I share new crafty projects. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!